Hello everybody, it's Nina. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be sharing some inspiration with you using new products from the Simon Says Stamp Celebrate You release. This Celebrate You release is filled with a lot of beautiful products, but I was really noticing the theme of celebrations, birthdays, and I don't know about you, but I'm always on the lookout for new birthday cards because there's a lot of birthdays over the course of the year. So I decided to use these products to create a birthday card. I'm going to be using some of the new frog dies. These dies are so cute. And I'm going to pair it with a fun sentiment set and also a die set that's technically a coordinating die set, but you can use it on its own. So we're going to use all these products together to create this really colorful birthday card. And the other thing I'm going to be showing you is how I balance color. As you'll notice, this design has a lot of color to it, but I'm going to show you a couple tricks that I use to help me get a really nice balanced design that's also going to look cohesive and that isn't going to compete with your eyes. So I'm going to start off by planning how my card was going to lay out. I knew I wanted to use that happy birthday word, but I was only going to use the word happy. And I also wanted to put these cute little frogs onto the card and kind of stack them up, leaving the middle portion open so I could put a sentiment there. These adorable frogs come in two different designs. One, he's just smiling, but then the other has an open mouth. You could make it look like he's talking. I'm going to cut those from some green cardstock. This is some lime green cardstock from Gina Designs. And I do have all the products that I used listed down in the video description or over on my blog. I'm putting this into my Gemini Junior so I can cut these frogs out. And then I'm also going to cut a white panel down with the Simon Says Stamp Wonky Rectangles die. And I'm going to also cut it with a circle die that's from a Simon Says Stamp Nested Circle set. This is going to create the window. Now technically the frogs already do create a window. However, I wanted the frogs to be behind a white panel. So this is why I'm cutting out the panel with circles first, and then I'm going to layer the frogs behind these circles. So that way I still end up with that great white outline and the white panel, but I'm also going to have the green frogs and I don't have to do any coloring. I'm going to just trim these frogs out of the circle, just cutting a few little snippets here. I do want to leave a little bit of excess cardstock though, because that'll allow me to attach it onto the back side of that panel. Before I get to that part though, I want to do some ink blending. So I brought in my Distress Oxide inks and I picked out a rainbow of colors. And I'm going to do kind of a circle pattern across this whole piece of Strathmore Bristol paper. So I started off with Blueprint Sketch and Wilted Violet, blending those along the bottom portion. In the middle, I'm going to put a little bit of that Twisted Citron and blend that between the Blueprint Sketch and some Wild Honey. The green's not going to be overly apparent. I just want a little bit of green to help tie in with the frogs. The main colors are going to be the Abandoned Coral I just added on, the Wild Honey, and also Wilted Violet and Blueprint Sketch. To blend the Abandoned Coral and Wilted Violet together, I will bring in a bit of Picked Raspberry. Once my ink blending is finished, I will go ahead and attach this to my panel that we did the die cutting out of earlier. So I've got my two little circle windows. And I'm going to take those little frogs that I trimmed down and I'm going to layer them behind those circles. Now, when I attach this onto that ink blended background, I'm not going to put any adhesive on the frogs themselves. That's because I don't want to make any more dimension on this card, but I do want to give the frogs a little bit of lift off of the background. So by not adding any adhesive to that background, that's going to allow me to have them look like they're kind of popping up, but without any extra bulk. So I used some googly eyes for the eyes on the frogs, and I also used a pink colored pencil, this is a luminance pencil, to add a little bit of rosy cheek blush to their cheeks. Now you'll notice that the background is adhered with the purple and the blue down at the bottom, and the orange and yellow up at the top. This is important. We'll keep this in mind as we continue with our design. Now remember I said I used some coordinating dies to use as some fun little die cut shapes? That's these balloons. These balloons are a coordinating die for the big birthday greeting stamp set. There's a fun little balloon stamp in there. But you could also use these balloons on their own and create some really colorful embellishments. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm cutting out a bunch of different colored pieces of cardstock from these balloons, so I have a rainbow, and I'm going to choose individuals to put on the card. While I was die cutting, I also cut out the word happy birthday, but I'm using, of course, just that word happy. And I cut it twice from white cardstock and then once from some HOLO Waves Tonic Studios mirror cardstock. I'm going to layer the white pieces and then the HOLO Waves on top, creating a 3-layer sentiment that's going to give this sentiment a little bit of extra dimension and also some sturdiness so that I can pop it up with some foam tape off of my card. And I'm using the middle portion where I left open during my die cutting to use as the area for my sentiments. Okay, so here's where I'm kind of playing with color at this point. You'll notice that I'm attaching these balloons down and tying a little bit of twine around the bottoms so that way they have some strings. I just did some simple tying and used the foam tape behind the balloons to hold the twine in place. But you'll notice that I have 2 balloons on the bottom and the top that coordinate with the colors on the background. But on the bottom and the top, there is also 1 color balloon that does not coordinate with the top or bottom. You'll notice the green is at the top and the yellow is at the bottom. This is just to give you a little bit of balance. If you had all of the warm colors down at the bottom and all the cool colors up at the top, it wouldn't balance as nicely. It would look okay, but I feel like if you have that mix, it really just ties everything together and it still coordinates nicely with the top and the bottom, and you can see those segregated spots, but they all tie together, and I hope that makes sense. But this is a great way to be able to use a lot of color, but still have a really balanced and cohesive design. Now you'll notice I tied the balloon strings into 1 single knot, and then I'm gluing that knot down along the bottom, which coordinates with one of the frogs. I will do the same thing that I did for the balloons on the bottom along the top. So I'll tie the strings on and then tie the little knot down towards that frog that's up at the top. On each of the balloons, I added some highlights with a white gel pen, just giving these balloons a little bit of dimension. And then you'll also notice I added the super happy birthday sentiment there too, and I added that at a wonky angle, which also ties in with the balloons. You'll notice that the balloons and the sentiment kind of form a visual triangle, and the dark slate gray color really balances out all of the color that we have going on here, so it's not overly competing with your eyes. I did the same thing with the sequins. The sequins kind of tie in with different areas on the background, but there are some pops of color here and there that don't necessarily belong in those particular spots. They don't necessarily coordinate with the color in that section. But by strategically placing a couple of oddballs here and there, that ties in the colors throughout the card, doesn't make it look like it's completely segregated, but at the same time, it's not all over the place. That will help you tie in all of the colors and give you a really nice cohesive design that truly stands out and creates a really happy design. I don't know about you, but these frogs just make me laugh. They are so cute, and they are part of, like I said, the Celebrate You collection from Simon Says Stamp. So if you're interested in this collection and want to see more, be sure to head on over to my blog. I have links down in the video description, or I have links to the entire release in my blog post, so just scroll down to the bottom of the page. Thanks so much for tuning in. I will be back again very soon with more to share. But until next time, I hope you have a great day. Bye!